Let's get all sorted. I'm James.
And I'm Jeff. Today we travel to another dimension for the last time.
Hello, Jeff.
Hey, James.
And if listeners to this podcast want to find out more about this episode or find out other episodes or other useless information, I've got to preface that by saying useless. Head over to breakingdads.com.
Breakingdads.com?
Breakingdads.com still. And they can find you if they want to speak to you in haiku or write you other forms of poetry. They can do so over at Twitter.
I'm on the Twits, yep.
You're on the Twits at?
I am at Still Sorting. Ooh, I had to think about it today.
You did.
I'm like, I just opened my phone. It's there. I don't have to know this.
Exactly. And today we're gonna do a bit of a postmortem. We're not podcasting at the point when this news hit, so we haven't really had a chance to look back and speak about the end of Lego Dimensions,
to reflect, as it were,
yeah,
on this great experiment into Toys to Life that Lego really jumped in with both feet.
They did. And we were, I think, both incredibly enthusiastic about it. I think everybody was. It wasn't a novel idea, but you knew that Lego would probably take a novel, or not a used concept at this point, and do something really interesting with it and do it well.
Yeah, I think when Lego announced with TT Games that they were going to be doing Toys to Life, the reaction was not, oh, really? Is this something Lego should do? It was more, well, yeah.
Yeah.
The biggest toy company in the world, depending on the day, versus what was the biggest concept in gaming at the time.
Yeah.
And did they jump? They jumped right in.
It's hard to believe that it feels like it was forever ago because I think the volume of sets produced. Yeah. I think it really, like, my brain kind of fatigued out when I started trying to think back through it. And I was like, wow, they ended early?
Yeah.
Really? Wow. Okay. That's intense. I don't even, if they hadn't ended early, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a remarkable amount of stuff that was put out.
A remarkable amount of stuff is, I think, a good way. Like, they called each round of sets a wave.
Yeah.
And certainly from a collector standpoint, it felt like I was drowning.
It was a tsunami of Lego.
Yeah. It was a lot of Lego. And it came out, and I wanted it all, and I did not get it all. And at the end of the day, I'm not upset that I did not get it all.
No. I think we were both pleasantly surprised by the announced properties that they were choosing to use. That a lot were surprising. A lot of them were, there's a lot of ones you wanted and hoped for and figured, I was like, oh, is that going to happen? And then you're like, oh my gosh, they're doing that. And there was a lot of that, I think, for people, which was very exciting. But I don't know that it translated to sales for Lego.
I think their install base was quite good initially. I think some of the first wave of sets sold very well.
Yeah.
I think they tapped into some areas they had not produced sets in before.
Right.
Some of the sets tapped into areas where they were producing other bigger sets or other collectibles. For The Simpsons, I think, is a prime example of a line that if it had just been Lego Dimensions, collectors would have picked it up like crazy.
Yeah.
But The Simpsons ended up with 2 separate collectible minifigs. So if you're looking just to scratch that itch of having a Bart Simpson or Homer Simpson or Krusty the Clown minifig, they got it.
Yeah.
They can get it for a lot less money.
Yes.
And a lot easier than going out and getting these sets.
Yeah.
Same thing with Lord of the Rings. There were still Lord of the Rings sets around when those sets came out. So when I look back on the sets that ended up in clearance bins, it was those ones. Back to the Future, you didn't see on clearance shelves because there was a rather expensive, quickly retired Lego Ideas set. That's it.
Right, yeah.
And I wonder if that influenced some of the decisions down the road to really go into those 80s licenses.
It must have. And those are probably either because of just general pop culture resurgence or because of the price of getting into those intellectual properties might have been a little lower, or maybe Warner Brothers or somebody was like, hey, we got these. How about these? We'll give these all to you. It's like a bundle package. Like, I don't know how that worked, but they ended up, a lot of curious licenses. But they did interest. It's such a mixed bag, right?
Well, okay, so let's talk about the mixed bag. Let's focus right. Let's first say
what they did right.
What did they do right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a very interesting game for me because I am both a Lego collector, and someone who plays with Lego. I'm a lover of the Lego video games, although over time I had a lot less time to play games from the time this started to the time it ended. So I wasn't playing it as much as I would like.
Yeah.
But I'm also a parent, and I have 3 kids who play way too many video games because my time's important too. So my children get to play video games. So it's interesting to me sort of where they went. So the thing I liked from being a parent and buying it for my children, ostensibly really it was for me, is they took away that sort of Skylanders, Disney Infinity worry of, will my children be able to use this to play in the way they want to play?
Right.
Because the one thing they did right is no matter what you bought, they could put in to any scene at any time and it would work.
Yes. That exactly. And you didn't, like you said, you didn't have to look at boxes. You didn't have to think of, no compatibility issues.
You didn't look at the color of the base and go, will this one work with this game?
Yes. And you also didn't have to feel bad that you were shoveling more garbage into a landfill. Beyond the toy tag, it's Lego.
There's a future life.
That was the one thing that gave it a big pass in my book with the whole Toys to Life thing. It's just the replayability after the inevitable end of the run of it.
Yeah, all software as well, but mostly software has a built-in
there's only so long they can keep,
a best before date.
Yeah. I mean, the developers can only keep going for so long before they have to move on to paying projects. So as soon as the user base starts dropping off, they're going to have to move on.
Right. And yes,
it's inevitable. It happens.
I have a bin full of Skylanders at home that they'll just collect dust now or go in a landfill.
I know. And it is, even when we originally got some of them, it was like, oh, I don't feel good because you saw that coming. That you're like, oh, those are headlights on a bus. Oh, it's going to the landfill. Yeah. I don't know because there is no playability with those things. Really? I mean, I'm sure there's some kid out there who loves playing with Skylanders.
And there's probably someone who bought Disney Infinity miniatures to put on a shelf and had no intention of actually putting them in a video game.
So I guess if you savor them as just vinyl pop objects, great.
Sure, yeah.
That works. But
Lego, at the end of the day, we can dump these into a bin of other Lego.
Exactly.
And you now have some characters to play with that you would never have gotten to play with.
Or just put the whole thing on the shelf as a cool little mini build.
Absolutely.
Because there were some cute little mini builds that came out of this.
There were. Some of the mini builds were amazing. The little mini DeLorean, Homer Simpson's car, even the TV. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic little builds. Some of them...
Yeah, no.
I know we're going to do what they didn't do right in a sec.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about mini builds, some of them do not pass the swooshability test. To me, the biggest failure was the winged monkey. That has never been in one piece.
Right.
We used to put them in like a big see-through shoebox, and that was great. And you would just have the legs on the tag. The top half would never be anywhere. We switched to a compartmentalized storage to try to mitigate how much they were spent apart.
Yeah.
And still, that thing has never been on I think one time it's been on the toy pad in one piece. Otherwise, the top half of the monkey is sitting in the bin. It just didn't have enough hold. There's a 1x1 round plate that's supposed to hold it all together. It does not.
Yeah.
So it's just 2 little legs on the toy tag, and that's it. So that, I think, was a problem. A lot of the builds, I feel like I could throw it down the hallway and pick it up and keep using them. That was not it. So there's a lot of creativity in some of the builds. Doc Brown's train, phenomenal.
Unikitty's a cute little build.
Unikitty's little duck car thing. I want one of those for myself, for sure.
Some are less, I don't know. Yeah. Some are what?
Yeah.
What is that?
Sensei Wu's dragon looks like a cloud on a bad day.
It's a croissant delivery service.
It's a croissant delivery. There was some hit of the Midway Arcade. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And I know that's going to live a second life in an arcade in one of my Lego figures houses.
Well, you got a printed Defender plate.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what?
Did you ever think you'd have a printed Defender plate? No.
I want a whole row of these little mini arcades.
For sure. So there was definitely some wins. The Daleks.
Those are cool.
I think it's better than the one that you get in the...
With the Doctor Who set?
Yeah.
It's simpler. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I don't know. It reads better to me. Maybe that's just me. I'm not a huge Doctor Who fan. So there was definitely some hits with the mini builds, but at the end of the day, it's about the characters, and they did some things to me that I didn't think I would get to see ever. How about Sonic in Lego form?
Yeah, that's not one exactly. I would not have seen that coming.
And my kids wanted that so bad, and the levels are phenomenal. Now, my kids do complain that Sonic is OP. That's overpowered for you, those of you that don't have small children. And his little jump attack is just way too powerful, and they're like, why wouldn't you use Sonic for every level?
Huh.
So there is that. But we get a B.A. Baracus in Lego form.
Wouldn't have seen that coming.
We get legitimate Adventure Time Lego. That's phenomenal.
It is. That was one my kids were, very happy about.
And I was hoping the sales from that would lead to more legit Adventure Time sets.
Yeah.
But we're not seeing that. Sure, Powerpuff Girls they put out, and then we're going to get Powerpuff Girl sets next year.
Huh.
But where's my...
I guess maybe they felt like they covered it.
I don't know.
And Teen Titans,
and they did the world is so good in that one. Again, some of the things, the details they did very, very well. So when you're playing in the Teen Titans level and you put on Robin or you put on Cyborg, who are not in their Teen Titan form and minifig form, they show up in that world as the Teen Titan versions, which is just perfect. You wouldn't have it any other way. So you could tell everybody involved cared about the details.
So as hardware, they knock it out of the park in terms of just the usability, as you said, the ability to swap out any, you can have what was it, 7 characters?
7 characters or
and you've done some rough math here.
So we did a quick count before we started. We figured there's 72 official non-exclusive minifigs.
There's a lot of ones we were counting, but yeah, around that.
We could be off by 1 or 2, but it doesn't change the math too much here.
No.
So if there's 72 and you put 7 distinct characters on the toy pad without repeating, you have about 7.5 trillion different combinations.
Somebody's going to write in and tell us that we're completely on glue with that, but that's what we came up with.
I think
that seems legitimate.
So if you owned all of them and you switched up who was on the toy pad every 5 minutes, you would go the rest of your life? I don't know if that's correct math, but it seems right.
A long time.
Yeah.
I think you go beyond the extent of your life.
I would think so. And that is a feat. Almost 7.5 trillion combinations.
Dearest great-grandchildren, here is the Lego dimensions I promised in my will.
And that's not even counting the objects.
No.
Which would throw the math into an area I don't want to do.
Just Goofyville. Yeah, so they as a physical object, they nail it. Now, as a software... You like the good side. Let's hit the good part still. So on the good side, they nailed I think initially the feeling you wanted to get. Like when it starts, you get into it, the ability to use different characters. They really tied the toy to the software very nicely. They did a good job of that.
You use the toy pad as part of the game.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
It was as promised.
The writing was phenomenal. I think the plot was fantastic. It had that Lego feeling of being fun and light and not taking itself too seriously.
Yeah.
You had Homer Simpson saying it's not selling out, it's Cobra ending.
Right.
I thought, yay. The interactions between the characters, even later waves, when you have Lego Batman and the Lego movie Batman meeting each other, they interact in very fun ways.
Exactly.
Slimer doesn't sit on top of the vehicles and drive them. He possesses them.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Just that level of detail, the interaction. If you feed the sandwich to Mogwai, I can't remember what the non-gremlin gremlin is called. I always think of them as gremlins.
Oh my gosh, I can't remember.
Mowgli, whatever. The cute one.
Yeah.
If you feed it to the cute one, you get the monster.
Mowgli?
Mowgli? No, that's
know.
from Jungle Book, isn't it?
That's Jungle. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
My kids are yelling at the podcast right now.
You would set us down the wrong path, I feel like.
Anyway, when you put the sandwich...
His name was Bob.
If you feed the sandwich from Bob, if you feed Bob the sandwich from the Scooby-Doo level, Scooby-Doo back, you turn the cute guy into a gremlin. That's phenomenal.
That is phenomenal. So I think TT Games they got it. They understood the spirit of what they were doing. They put the love in. They gave it what it needed, and that, I think, the intent was all there. That speaks a lot, though, about like just the whole approach, like the things they chose to bring into Dimensions, the level of quality and detail they try to bring to the software and tie it all together. Very nice.
When it worked.
And that's
really worked.
There's the big, and that's I think both of us, there's a huge problem with Lego Dimensions. There was a big but, and it started happening. It was not initially.
It was 95% perfect before the first big patch.
Yeah.
And then the first big patch came out, and I know for my kids on the original Xbox, it became unplayable. It lost saves. It always told you that it couldn't save, and it would start freezing. We couldn't even play the battle packs on the original Xbox.
We had that for like with Adventure Time, I think we started getting it, and we had it for, we just put it aside for a long time, and then eventually went back and checked, have they done another software patch? And that, unfortunately, I think is a death knell for the whole thing. Like my kids looked at it as a waste of their precious playtime. And they thought, if I've got a half an hour or an hour that I get to play video games, I don't want to spend 5 minutes. And we play on a Wii U, so they didn't want to spend time waiting for that thing to load up, waiting to get into waiting to get into the lobby and getting it all going, and then have it jank out on them. And that frustration, I remember how frustrated they got with it. And they were like, this isn't fun.
Yeah.
And I like these characters. I want to be Finn and Jake. I don't want to be this problem. And that is just, that's it. At that point, you're done.
They lost trust that the game would work.
And that you hit that word. Exactly. Yeah. Trust. The kids didn't trust it.
And that was a huge problem. And the same thing in my house. I had bought a whole bunch of packs that sat unopened for 4 months.
Because they just didn't want to get into it.
Nobody wanted to go into the game to do the building because they didn't believe they would be able to use everything properly.
Approaching disappointment as a kid is the word. Like, why do you want to do something that might lead to disappointment when you know that there's a percentage chance? You want 100% chance of fun, and then if you're disappointed with like, oh, that stinks, but it's not as bad as like, this may or may not work. That's an adult that's going to go into that situation, not a kid. A kid's like, I want a 100% chance of fun or get out of my face.
So your kids stopped playing on the Wii U completely.
Yeah.
We stopped playing it on the original, on the 360, original Xbox. That'd be fun. Stopped playing on the 360. Then when I was able to get an Xbox One version at a killer sale at Christmas time, since they'd already announced it was going away, we started playing it again, and it was better, but still not there. And I know my oldest son just wanted to unlock the ability to play with all of the different Doctor Who's with Doctor Who. Played the whole Doctor Who level to the end. It crashed. Waited a week. Was disappointed. Built it up. It's like, okay, I'm going to do it again. Got all the way to the end. Final cutscene. Crashes again. Hasn't touched it since.
No. And I can't. Yeah. No. You can't do that to a kid.
No.
And this is where I feel really bad for the developers, because that must have been crushing for them to have to meet the deadlines they had to meet. And when they started realizing that this isn't like a normal game where if you have some problems, people will be upset, but maybe slightly more forgiving. Kids aren't forgiving. Like an adult might go, this is buggy, I'll get back to it. No, kids are just like, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, no, there's another toy over there that works. Oh, phenomenal. That audience is even more brutal, I think, than adults in some ways.
For sure.
It must have been so frustrating for them to see the bug, and so many. Like, if you develop for like 1 or 2 consoles, that's one thing, and to develop like a single game and be like, we're gonna be done with it, and then we'll put out a patch after we release and fix the the weird things people find. With this many combinations and this many things and this many different platforms and I can't even fathom the nightmare. Like the lead developer on this must be on retired or on stress leave or dead.
Right, and then when you've got all this additional content that you're trying to push, and there's all the costs associated with it because there's production costs as well.
Exactly.
And the sales start to dwindle.
Well, licensing has expiry dates.
Right, and so I think I could imagine one of and this is just from the outside looking in, I don't have additional knowledge on this. I'm assuming the problems got bigger and bigger. They multiplied across all the content they're trying to push.
Yeah.
And the resources started to shrink.
Right.
And that's not a good combination for fixing Why are they going to put more money in to fix something?
And even if they threw more people on this problem, I don't know that would have helped either, because it's the problem just, as soon as you get one problem across that many consoles, and then the problems just every wave and every release and every pack created more problems, it seemed like you're just at it's like the exponential number of figures. Like, it's just, that must have been crushing. Anyway, I don't want to knock on the developer, because I feel for them. I feel, man, that must have been a horrible, I mean, they must have been so happy to work on this stuff. And it must have been such a joy to develop with these IPs, and to get to make the jokes and create this really unique and interesting idea that they were doing. And then to see it start falling apart, and you must have just been the absolute worst.
I think that, again, maybe we're projecting.
I can't imagine. I mean, there's too much love in it.
Exactly.
There's no cynicism, right? Like, this isn't like a developer who's getting a license to something, being like, oh yeah, we got the Star Wars license. Cool, let's do something.
It wasn't a cash grab.
No.
It wasn't shovelware. It wasn't...
No.
Let's just quickly rush it out because we want to make the money.
Yeah.
When it worked, it was sublime.
Yeah.
It transcended video games, I think.
It was very cool.
Yeah. It just started to slide down a hill, and it couldn't recover.
No. Was it this that they hit that point where they started cutting the prices of the sets to cost almost at some point, didn't they?
For sure. I think...
Which meant that it gets harder and harder to actually keep the whole ball going forward.
Well, it's really tough because production happens for the future.
Right.
You know, you've got plants all around the world making different parts.
You got molds,
parts being shipped all over to be packaged together, to be shipped all over the world, to be sold. And as that's happening, retailers are shrinking the toys to life section.
Right.
So there's less shelf space, which means they're ordering less. So I'm sure they got forecasts saying, oh, we'll sell X amount, and the actual orders were coming in at Y. There's a discrepancy.
There's too many things that you've kind of just tossed forward. Like, here's wave this, and there's going to be a gajillion things. And then as you're moving forward, seeing problems, that I don't even know how you mitigate that and go, okay, we need to get some more. Like, Lego has Lego money, so they're not hooped. I mean, if we're this another developer, they would have just tanked, right?
For sure.
So Lego could be like, okay, we're losing money on this, or we're bleeding out here, but we can still we got to make these molds for this that's coming up in advance. We've announced that we're going to do this, so they dump a bunch of money into it. But then if they're not recouping it, just at some point they must have had a line drawn out and went, okay, if we don't get the revenue up to this by this point, we have to pull the plug.
For sure.
There must have been just the death point where they were like, no, they can't. That's no go forward. We've lost enough.
I could definitely see before they're making the molds for the next wave.
Yeah.
Before they
commit to that.
Exactly.
That wave.
And I think that's sort of how you see the timing of the announcement.
Had they committed? At the point where they finally were forced to concede, had they committed to other lines? Like, I don't know if there was stuff left out there.
Nothing had been announced.
And got people,
other than the initial announcement, where they had sort of committed to 3 years,
right?
Way back at
but they
conception.
hadn't committed to specifics.
No,
and that's so. I guess was that what set people off? Was that the fact that they weren't committing to any specifics?
For sure, year 2 started seeing leaks and announcements and official announcements, and as year 2 was coming to an end,
it was just
there was no news,
right?
And that's never
good news.
When you're marketing a product, it's never a good idea to be like, just wait.
Yeah.
You'll see.
No spoilers. Yeah. We live in the age of spoilers, so yeah, that would have been. Yeah, it's so weird. Mm-hmm. It just seems like yesterday that it started, and it's weird that it's whoop.
And it's unfortunate that year 2 was sort of the beginning of the end in terms of when the problems really started to creep in. And there were software issues before, but year 2 is when things started to get super buggy. One of the announcements for year 2 was this whole idea of the battlegrounds. And I have 3 boys. Mm-hmm. So that's me and 3 boys. This was going to be 4-player Lego.
Yeah.
Finally, it drives me nuts that I can't sit down with my 3 kids in 2018 now and play a Lego video game. It's always capped at 2.
Right.
My TV's big enough. I know my hardware can handle it.
Yeah.
Let me explore the world with all of my children so I don't have to go, I play with you for this 20 minutes and then you for this 20 minutes and then you for this 20 minutes. And yes, I played for an hour and you each played for 20 minutes, but I'm a grown up. It's my house.
Or your alternative is split screen Minecraft. That's basically it.
Right. So
And that's no. So
that's a no-go in my house anymore. So
you needed
I
this.
was super excited for the Battlegrounds, and on Xbox 360, they just flat out didn't work. We could barely get past the load screen before it crapped out.
I think this is what my kids were complaining about too. Was that I think it was exactly the Battlegrounds they wanted to, and no.
But then I got it for Xbox One, and the Battlegrounds mostly work. Now my problem is that I am an old man.
Right.
And I remember playing Nintendo with my dad, him complaining that there was too many buttons and too much to do. And I was like, oh, he's ridiculous. This is easy. And now when I try to play Battlegrounds, it's too frantic. There's too much going on.
Yeah.
My eyesight's not good enough to differentiate the different colored zones because there's all this weird lighting. I don't know where any of the towers are.
Is it quadrant based? Like does
it's quadrant based.
So
but
you're like, which quadrant am I? I thought I was the blue guy.
Exactly. I don't know what color I am. I don't know what color building I'm walking towards. I don't know where the flags are. I don't know where all the traps are. My kids are just running circles around me. And I didn't enjoy a second of it. It felt like work. And not work I wanted to do. Now, my kids loved it. My kids were having a great time.
Yeah.
They can pick it up. They know what's going on.
Yeah.
It was too frantic.
I feel that way about like Minecraft mini games and stuff too. I think it's our age. I think it's
definitely our age.
I can't look at a quadrant and be like, what? I'm always like, what's going? You got me. Okay, I'm out.
And I don't have the brain space left to memorize the maps. I don't care.
No.
I don't care where the traps are. I don't care where the jumps are. I don't care. I just don't care.
I play a lot of video games and mini games. Those kinds of things. I still am incompetent. I mean, I'm incompetent in all games. Let's be real. But like, I'm especially incompetent at those things. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah. I just felt lost the entire time. So that was upsetting to me personally because I liked the idea of being able to play a Lego game with all of my kids, and it just didn't. It just wasn't enjoyable.
But had it been a single screen experience, it probably also wouldn't have been enjoyable either.
No.
It would have just been still you
It's
getting
still
your
too
butt
frantic,
kicked.
yeah. I would rather play the main game.
You going, what are you doing to me?
Like, where'd that come from? Wait, where are you? Where am I supposed to go? Am I going in the right direction? Somebody look at my screen and tell me if I'm going in the right direction.
You're running into a wall, walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was, and I don't know that they got that wrong. I think if the audience was my kids, the kids liked it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
See, it's been so long now. I have to still go back and check for software updates. I'm sure there's like a billion.
Probably.
And I need to deal with that. And then, because we were talking about the other day, we were just like, yeah, we have. Well, I was talking with them in anticipation of this episode, and I was like, they're like, yeah, no, I did. My son started giving a laundry list of complaints of why he didn't play it. Mm-hmm. And it was all software related, and it was just like, oh, okay, we got to try and get that going. He's like, yeah, but that's my video game time.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's on me to fix that problem. And, I have so much time, so. That's the thing. Dealing with buggy software stuff is, as an adult, you're just like, it's
another chore.
It's
all
another
of a sudden.
chore. Yeah.
It's like, I've also got to fix the dishwasher.
But we've also got this beautiful thing called Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
It doesn't have dimensions on it, but see, that's another issue too. It's like a 3-year plan on any kind of software, hardware kind of thing. You're going to be running to the end of life of consoles. Mm-hmm. That's a hard one too. Even if they were still going, like everyone's jumped, like the Wii U's goodbye. What are you introducing for another set of problems? Anyway, it's a weird technical problem that I would never want to have. I would not want to ever be involved in that kind of a development. That sounds
for sure
horrific.
And I think that's the other issue they ran into is, okay, so we've created a video game. We make money when people buy the sets so they can play the video game. When we can create a $70 here in Canada new Lego game every year, and sell X million copies.
Yeah.
Why are we investing money here? Why are we chasing that dollar?
Yeah.
Why can't let's do another Marvel game and we'll have a whole bunch of DLC and hundreds of characters. Exactly. And it'll be a great game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can iron out the bugs ahead of time and it'll be,
But there's something in that physical attachment to the toys.
Yeah.
For sure. I feel like they delivered on their promise when it worked of any character, anywhere, compelling story, great story. It was fun to play through. We got licenses that Portal. I mean, come on.
Portal, exactly. Yeah.
Like, there was a 0% chance.
I wouldn't have thought that in a million. It wouldn't even occur to me.
No. You were like, what would you like to see in Lego? Oh, Portal.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what?
If somebody said that, you'd be like, well, I like it, but that's weird. Like,
yeah, but phenomenal.
Yeah. And I like that the licenses were like that. Now, a lot of it had to do with they're owned by WB. And so there's, I mean, that's why you're going to see Scooby-Doo. That's why you're going to see the DC heroes.
Yeah.
But it also feels like they had a writer's room where people were like, what would you like to see? And people put up their hand and said it. And they said, let's try to get it.
Yeah. What can we do with it? That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Now, at the time that this started going, Toys to Life as a whole concept is that going away as an idea?
It's gone.
It's gone. Because in my house, it's been gone for, before this, it was Skylanders. That was gone quickly. We didn't get very deep into that at all. We didn't get into the Disney stuff at all. We didn't.
I'm actually shocked with Skylanders. I think it went 2 more versions past where I thought it was already dead.
Wow.
Like, it was weird to me that I would walk into Toys R Us and all of the Skylanders would be, clearance. And then they had a new wave. And that was weird. But during all of this time, Skylanders used to take up an entire row.
Yeah.
Like, an entire wall of my Toys R Us was like the back wall of the electronics. The whole thing from one end of the room to the other was Skylanders at one point. And then it was Skylanders and Disney Infinity. And then it was Skylanders and Lego Dimensions and Disney Infinity. And then it was Skylanders and Lego Dimensions. And now it's like 2 end caps.
So as part of it, both a death of the whole genre of Toys to Life, and part of it, the amount of competition that was happening when they got into that game. Like, I mean, that game being Toys to Life, that concept was already well established, and there was a market, and people were committed to certain, brands and stuff. That also seems like a really gutsy decision by Lego to get into that mess. I wonder if that had any impact. Like, did they get in too late?
They got in too late.
Yeah.
They got in too late. If they had developed it, the second Skylanders was proven to be successul.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe they did because
the length of time.
Exactly.
Yeah. To get all those ducks lined up.
I mean, you had to build the technology. And
TT Games was probably working on other, like, it's just tying everything together. That's a nightmare.
For sure.
Factories,
and then marketing
walls.
And logistics. Absolutely.
Gosh.
So maybe they did.
Yeah.
And it just took them that long.
I can't imagine the runway to get into this must. Yeah, no, even running full tilt, this must have been astounding.
Yeah. And I think fatigue on the parents, because at the end of the day,
yes, collectors
are going to buy a certain percentage.
Yeah.
But if grandma and grandpa and mom and dad aren't buying them for little Billy and Jenny, then it's not going to go anywhere. The collector market is a niche of the whole.
Well, I imagine the collector market is the one who's vacuuming up all the inventory that's extant anywhere and getting it at cost effectively.
I mean,
will Lego even recoup on the last bit of it?
I can't see how, unless they part it out, and reuse.
Yeah,
which they could outside of exclusives and certain minifigures, they can reuse. I just don't know if it's worth opening up if it's already boxed.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's a whole bunch of parts that never made it into a box.
That's true.
Right.
And if you see it at a store, I guess, or you saw it anywhere, you'd be just grabbing it you would be paying like nothing.
Yeah, I've definitely seen as low as $5 Canadian.
Which is like a third of the original price, essentially, probably for most of them.
So $9.99 Canadian was a
pretty standard,
a dude and a minifig and a build, right?
Okay.
I will say Canadians did pretty good on this with pricing, because when they announced it, they announced the pricing and the Canadian dollar was at par back 2015.
Yeah,
and they kept the pricing consistent throughout. So Canadians made out like gangbusters.
Right.
Because our dollar died around the same time as it actually hit market. But once they'd established those price points, they kept with them.
That doesn't help.
That was nice. Well, it was nice for me.
Nice for us.
It's rare when we get a win on price.
It's true. So with this going away, do you see them ever coming back to this kind of an idea? I mean, they dipped their toes. The other weird kind of direction they went was Lego Worlds, which also seems, I don't know that did as well as they hoped either. I don't get the sense.
They've got DLC for it, which means they must have an install base large enough to develop the DLC.
Yeah.
It's on a lot of platforms. It's had a lot of big pushes. I think it's, one of the problems is we're dealing with Lego as a non-public company. Now, first off, I'm glad they're a non-public company because the way Lego Dimensions went, if they were a public company, heads would have rolled, the jobs would have been cut like crazy to try to recover right away. Because they're ostensibly a family company still, they can get away with trying things out and playing the long game.
Right. Yeah, which gives them a lot of adaptability, and they can really be experimental and be daring.
Yes, it's about what's going to make this company successful 40 years from now, as opposed to what's going to make this company, make the stock price go up by 5% over the next 6 months.
So I wonder if are they going to be looking at like VR and things like that as being, or augmented reality or other kind of tech adaptations as a thing?
They've tried a bunch of things and nothing's really caught yet.
Huh.
Because I know they had what was that, Life of George or something like that, where it was an app-based one. They had some app-based games where you were building towers that they were clearly they were almost more proof of concepts that they made some of, but weren't ever happy with.
Weird.
I know they have some AR built into some of their apps now, so you can see sets on your table in front of you. It's not the same as having a toy. And I think that's what why Toys to Life appealed to them so much. You get that tactile. Mm-hmm. And like you said, when the game's done, you can play with the figures. You can build with the bricks.
Yeah.
They're all real Lego pieces. So I think, yes, you will see Toys to Life again. And you will see Toys to Life by Lego again, a generation from now.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess is when people, that grew up with it kind of go, oh, hey.
Beyond that, I think technology will get to a point where you can, let's face it, at some point, all of our children are going to trade privacy for convenience. That's the trend's been going that way. And unless there's a really big pendulum swing, which I just don't see.
Legislation, but outside of that.
Outside of that, yes. So there will be some sort of game device or computer made by some major corporation that will have an always-on camera and microphone, and they will be able to put the Lego set, not even the box, but the actual built piece in front of the camera, and it will be projected into some sort of game. Yeah, and I
thought you were going to say that they get the toy tag injected into the back of their neck like some kind of dystopian future, and that they are always part of the game.
No, it won't be that bad. It'll just be cameras throughout their house monitoring all of their activity and reporting it to a corporation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
But on the upside, they'll save $5 on pizza.
Yeah.
And it'll be delivered as soon as they think of being hungry.
And it looks like you're running low on milk.
Absolutely.
Yes,
so
that's the future.
It'll be a weird quasi-dystopian future, but it'll be really convenient for them. I mean, they won't have to carry keys around.
No.
So that'll be nice.
They can just put their head on the Lego Dimension set.
Yeah. But I think technology is going that way, where it's not going to be toy tags. It's not going to be buy this special toy to bring to life. It's going to be, hey, wouldn't it be awesome if you could interact with the toys you own already in this digital environment? Right.
So yeah, it's kind of taking like the what do you call that thing? Like Lego Digital Designer kind of thing.
Right.
But you're just using you use your camera as a scanner.
It's going to recognize the set. So it already have
an inventory in it of all the parts and pieces that
they've
just done 3D renders of from their
and then have rules for that's a vehicle.
How does that not even already exist?
You do think it's close.
Yeah, it seems like a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still at the not a hot dog stage, but we're gonna get there. That's 5 people got that reference.
That's why we do these podcasts, Jeff. For the 5 people.
But we're not there yet. But we're closer to there than we aren't. I just don't know if there'll be an appetite for it.
For some new novelty. And and again, whether they'll be able to restore the trust, which, I don't think it'll actually be hard. It's Lego. No. I think kids have a lot of trust. At the end of the day, they played with it and they play with it again, and then they trust that they're going to have fun.
And TT Games hits are way bigger than their misses.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, the track record is there, so it's not like it's a one and done. our studio went bankrupt. Bye. We got a boat. No.
I don't know why that tickled me so much, but it really did.
The image of all of them just sitting on a boat, just being like, our Lego, it's made of Lego. And then they realized that was a very poor design choice.
Yeah. Plus, people are going to want to work for TT Games just to get one of those lucite bricks with a minifigure inside and the game you worked on it. I mean, that would be...
That's it.
Like...
That's enough.
All your other designer friends and game programmers, those are both jobs. They're all going to come over to your house and they're going to see your bricks and they're going to be like, oh, I worked on Halo 7. I don't know. Is that a...
All I got was a mech. Yeah, I don't know.
I got a Warthog, sure.
This will be the year 2030.
Yeah, because I think that would motivate me.
Yeah.
So I would say thanks to TT Games for Lego Dimensions. I think when it works, it's a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
Do I wish it worked more consistently? Yes. Do I wish it had kept going? Yes. Is my wife happy that I'm not buying any more Dimensions sets?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
My kids could have been happier with it, I think. That's the only audience I think that in our house truly matters. I'm a second-rate citizen here. It's irrelevant what I think. I don't get to have feelings, Jeff.
No, you don't.
No.
We'll tell you what your feelings are, James.
I think they like the idea. They did like when it worked. They were very happy when it worked. And I think they would love to play this kind of thing again. It was, like you said, the tactility. I think at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. The one thing that they nailed with it, it's still a toy. If you have any thoughts about Lego Dimensions, I can't imagine you do. It was a tiny thing.
Barely anyone heard of it.
If what did you like about it? What were the high points? What were the low points? What will you miss about it? And what would you like to see again? And I guess what were the dream team that what was
what was your starting 7?
Yeah, what would you have liked to have been able to do that you just can't now? Boo boo boo.
That's pretty good.
That was sadness. That was sadness in my...
We don't do enough sound effects.
No, we don't.
We should really...
I can do water and sadness. That's all the only sound effects I have.
Hit us with water.
No, I'm getting too much air in
that was more whistly than...
Yeah, that was not good. I'm sorry.
This is why we don't do more sound effects.
I don't do water on demand, Jeff. I can't do that. But yeah, if you have if you have other sound effects you'd like to hear, explosions, things that we can do by making a lot of percussive noises into a microphone, let us know. And you can do that over at breakingdads.com.
Breakingdads.com?
I think that website shut down, Jeff. They ran out of
Dads to break?
Too many glitches. or you can try it. It might be it depends. It might be working today. Breakingdads.com.
Wow, you've worked in sales before, haven't you?
You tell them about the product and then you undercut the product. That's how sales works, I think, right? You could do this, or you could get the one across the way, the other hallway. They got a better one, honestly. Just try that.
Yeah, whatever.
It's your call. It's your money.
You can reach out to me on the Twittosphere. Yeah, I'm hip. I'm with it.
Yeah.
I'm at Still Sorting.
You are, and you are going to be still sorting for a while now.
I am really sorting right now.
You were sorted. You're no longer sorted.
I have 4 bins of sets that I'm breaking up and parts that I have not put away
yet. You need
yet.
to take a picture of that.
It's too depressing. It's too depressing.
All right, until next time, I've been James.
And I'm still Jeff.